Little more than a year before Malcolm Young's death, the guitarist was honored at a fundraising gig at Los Angeles' iconic Whiskey A Go Go. According to Louder, the event was billed as an ultimate jam night, and while it didn't technically feature any of ACDC's current members at the time, former drummer Simon Wright was among the many musicians who were scheduled to perform. The show's objective was to raise money for the Alzheimer's Association. At that point, it had been 2 years since Malcolm retired from touring due to his dementia. However, as Angus Young recalled in 2014, the rhythm guitarist had started showing signs of cognitive decline as far back as 2008, when they were working on their Black Ice album. That didn't stop him from pushing forward with the release and touring behind it. Angus told The Guardian, "His symptoms of dementia were starting then, and he got through it. I had said to him even before we did the album, 'Are you sure you want to do this? I have to know that you really want to do it.' He was the one who said, 'Yes, we've really got to do it.'" It wasn't just Malcolm Young whose future with ACDC was in question during the final months of 2016. Although Stevie Young was a competent replacement for his uncle as ACDC's touring rhythm guitarist, Malcolm's retirement was quickly followed by the news that longtime drummer Phil Rudd was facing various criminal charges, including drug possession and attempting to hire a hitman. He was replaced by the band's early 90s drummer, Chris Slade. Then, vocalist Brian Johnson was advised by doctors that he had to quit touring or risk the possibility of permanent hearing loss. Guns N' Roses frontman Axl Rose took his place for the remainder of the Rock or Bust tour. Finally, at the end of the tour, bassist Cliff Williams announced his plans to retire from music. As Malcolm quietly battled dementia and brother Angus Young faced the possibility of being ACDC's last founding member still active, Rudd commented on the issue, saying on the Rich Davenport Rock Show that it wouldn't be a, quote, good idea for Angus to discontinue the band. He said, "Angus has never played better than he did on the Rock or Bust album. He's playing great. What's he gonna give it up for? That's like Napoleon not finding somewhere else to conquer." Updates on Malcolm Young's health were few and far between during the last 12 months of his life. But ACDC fans remained as dedicated as ever as they supported the band's co-founder during the first few months of 2017. According to NME, a group of Swedish fans launched an event called ACDC Machine Gathering 2017 in an effort to raise funds for the prevention of Alzheimer's disease. This caught the attention of Brian Johnson, who was on hiatus from touring due to his own health issues. He said in a statement, "I just want to say I'm so proud of what you're doing for the Alzheimer's dementia research. As you know, we have a wounded soldier, Malcolm. And I think what you're doing to raise the awareness of everyone about this dreadful disease is just absolutely fabulous." Johnson went on to stress that Malcolm Young would, quote, "be so proud of his band's fans." He concluded his statement by thanking them for launching such an initiative and letting them know that he's proud of them for raising awareness about Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. On October 23, 2017, Angus and Malcolm Young's older brother, George Young, died at the age of 70. As recalled by Variety, George played an important role for ACDC in their early years, co-producing the band's first 5 albums with longtime friend Harry Vanda. However, he also had a pretty distinguished career of his own as a musician. He and Vanda played for the Easy Beats in the 1960s, and while they never reached superstardom outside of their native Australia, they did record an all-time classic called Friday on My Mind, which reached number 16 on the Billboard Singles Charts in 1967. Neither Malcolm nor Angus Young issued any individual statements following their brother's death. But ACDC, as a band, took to Twitter to credit George Young for his contributions, writing, "Without his help and guidance, there would not have been an ACDC." In addition to the group's early releases, George also produced their 2000 album, Stiff Upper Lip, temporarily coming out of retirement to help his brother's band one last time. Tragic as George's death was for the Young family, it would be followed less than a month later by Malcolm's death, which came after years of various health problems. Per Ultimate Classic Rock, Malcolm also dealt with heart problems and lung cancer in the years before his dementia diagnosis. Malcolm Young's death on November 18, 2017, was a sad day for music fans around the world. as well as the many musicians who played alongside ACDC or were influenced by the band's back-to-basics brand of hard rock. Angus Young was emotional as he looked back on his brother's final days, telling 60 Minutes Australia in 2020 that the hardest part wasn't saying goodbye to Malcolm, but rather watching how dementia took its toll on him during the last years of his life.
I think the worst part's the decline.
Despite his illness, Malcolm did his best to remain positive and always had a, quote, big smile on his face whenever Angus was around. Angus said, "And I think that was probably, for me, that always gave me a kind of joy, even though he was in that state. That was always the joy of it." Angus also recalled that Malcolm always enjoyed it whenever he'd drop by and play some riffs on the guitar for him. This underscored the importance of the two brothers spending time with each other during Malcolm's final years. Angus said, "He would try to tap his foot, but he always knew I was there. I was with him toward the end." Meanwhile, frontman Brian Johnson remarked that it was, quote, obvious how Malcolm's spirit was with them during his funeral, as that was the event that helped convince ACDC to get back together for what would become their 2020 album, Power Up. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more grunge videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.